We live in an innovative world, full of innovative people. And the only way to unlock innovation is to allow those innovative people in that innovative world to come together in an innovative way that allows them to innovate and create new and innovative solutions through innovation. Have you ever said a word so many times it loses its meaning? Innovation can be like that. It can sound like a buzzword or an initiative of the week, something that we all agree is necessary to move forward, but so nebulous that you can't get your hands around it. You may have wondered, what does innovation feel like? What does it look like? What does it sound like? Well, I can help you with those last two because I've seen it and I've heard it. And admittedly, it looks a little different in 2021 than it did in 2019. But back then, it looked like people getting out of their offices on a Monday morning. It looked like laboratories that are normally occupied by a lone scientist thriving with life. It looked like refreshed relationships and new relationships from people who hadn't had the opportunity to work together before. And it looked like passion and laughter and the genuine curiosity that can only come from thinking about a problem in a new way. And what did it sound like? It sounded like people saying, I am definitely doing things I would have never done before. Or, I ran into an approach that I wouldn't have considered before. Or, well, that was a first. Or my personal favorite, that's weird. And none of these sights and sounds came out of the big book of innovation. They were all actual observations and candid quotes that I collected during a dedicated event that changed the way we do research in my branch. And the results are even more applicable today. Now, I'm gonna have to warn you. You're gonna be tempted to listen to what I have to say and think, that was kind of cool, but it won't work for my organization. It won't work for me. And before I make a passionate plea to keep you from flipping tabs to check your Gmail while I'm up here talking, let me just say, you're right. This won't work for you. And speaking of Gmail, regardless of whether you use it or not, it has had a huge impact on our culture. Couple that with things like Google Maps and Google News, and you'd be hard-pressed to argue that Google hasn't revolutionized the way that we interact with each other and the world around us on a minute-by-minute basis. But amazingly, none of the tools that I just mentioned started as main product areas. They didn't flow out of the boardroom. They weren't mandated as the wave of the future by senior leadership. They started organically within the company as part of Google's 20% time. Google leadership offers their employees 20% of their time to do whatever they want to do. Complete freedom. And out of that freedom has come a revolution in information technology that's changed the way each of us lives our daily lives. Alternatively, in the Air Force, we are in a time when senior leadership is mandating that we take a more creative approach to science and technology. We hear that we need to take smarter risks, to understand the boundaries of science and engineering better, to try things differently, to fail, learn, and grow in a way that affects change for our nation's warfighter. And that is a great message to hear. And it's necessary, but it's not sufficient. Without the drive at the lower levels of the organization to take those words, put them into action, and organically build up a culture of innovation, the vision of senior leadership will be relegated to buzzwords. Now, in my branch, we tried to meet that call. We brought together our leadership team to take a small step in the right direction. We gave every member of the branch the equivalent of 2 weeks of their time throughout the year to work on whatever they wanted to work on. Complete freedom. Time to be free from the shackles of government bureaucracy. And let me tell you what happened. Nothing. Okay, very little. While the idea was good in theory, it was very challenging for our scientists and engineers to break away from the daily grind of meetings and emails and administrative burdens. And oh, by the way, doing research for their main projects. But the core idea was good. We just had to figure out a way to implement it. Luckily, while reading the book Drive by Daniel Pink, I ran across an anecdote that gave us the spark we needed. The story was about an Australian software company called Atlassian that started an initiative called FedEx Days. Every quarter, employees were given 24 hours to work on something outside of their regular job. Similar to Google, this had resulted in a large number of new ideas and product areas. And they called it FedEx Days because employees were asked to deliver something overnight. Now, in my branch, an all-night work party would have been a bit of a hard sell, so I decided to update the idea for a little bit of public sector flavor and said, if FedEx can deliver something overnight, the Postal Service can deliver it in 3 to 5 days. So we decided to consolidate this set-aside discovery time into a single week, a discovery down week. We told the branch that we were going to shut down for 4 days. And during that time, you can work on whatever you want, with whomever you want. Complete freedom. As you can imagine, some people had some concerns. Do you really think that we can do this? What am I going to do about all those missed meetings and emails? Well, I know so-and-so, and he's not going to do anything if you give him free time. And that was just from inside the branch. Outside, we heard things like, how can you not support us for a week? Or they're just wasting their time out there. Free range may work for chickens, but it does not work for scientists. Maybe you've heard things like this when you try to do something a little different. Well, we heard it all, but we believed in the value this week could provide and pressed forward. We gave the best top cover we could to our employees. We made it clear they weren't responsible for meetings or emails. We defended them when overly aggressive customers came in demanding support. And we even sent an email to the whole organization that said, we are shut down for the week. And what happened? We got a lot of failures, but we got a lot of really cool stuff too. We were able to do things like identify new features in our explosive materials that fundamentally changed the way we thought about them. We were able to design, produce, and implement a camera system that allowed for real-time monitoring of our processing operations. And we were able to prove that we could draw our branch logo on a piece of explosive material 50 times smaller than a human hair. Ideas like this resulted in new technical thrusts and a flurry of patents. But we encouraged everyone to participate. Not just our scientists, but our technicians, our support staff, even the leadership team got involved. Because of that, we also developed more efficient, common sense processes. We were able to improve our test capability to allow us to collect more data per test and safely expose our materials to more extreme environments. But maybe the greatest thing to happen was the spark of freedom in the workforce. Where there were glazed eyes, now there were wheels turning, because everyone saw that the world is not going to end if you don't check your email for 4 days. And everyone will get over the fact that you missed that meeting, and nobody got a bad performance report because they weren't doing their job. Now, here's the part I was warning you about. You're probably sitting back in your chair thinking to yourself, well, that was a great story, but you don't understand, John Henry. Maybe you can shut down for a week, but we can't. We're too busy. We have customers. Our facilities aren't set up for that. Or how about this one? I work from home now. I can't even get my Zoom to stop showing me as a cat. I am not a cat. Or the saddest one, my boss would never let me do that. So that's a great idea, but that's all it is, and I'm going to put it over here on the idea shelf. And the thing about that is, you're right. First, that it's a great idea, but also that you can't do what we did. That's the beauty of it. Senior leadership can't dictate innovation, and I can't stand up here on this stage and dictate innovation. There is no prescribed one-size-fits-all solution. The events of this past year have only made that point stronger. We didn't take 20% of our time like Google does, and we didn't focus on overnight delivery like Atlassian, but we took key tenets of each of them and applied it to what we know about our organization to make it successful. Likewise, you can take these principles and use them to organically build up your culture. Each of us has a responsibility to build that culture in our organization. Maybe you can't do a week. Can you do a day? A morning, an afternoon? What would your people respond to? You know how you can take this idea and adjust it and shift it and tweak it to make it yours. In fact, I bet you're already thinking about a way you can do that right now. If you're an employee here today, I challenge you to come up with an idea to pitch to your leadership. A way you can help your organization do something like this to shake things up. To come up with new processes that save time and money, new technologies and products that reshape your competitive advantage, and new ways for your organization to affect the world around you. And if you're a leader, when your employees come to you with those ideas, support them. But don't just go along with it. Permission is not enough. Protect them. Provide them the top cover they need to be successful. Leadership can kill so many great ideas, but they can enable more. We have the massive responsibility as leaders to set those environments and help our folks grow. Because nobody at Google said, let's go do this email thing. It bubbled up from the bottom. And it's that synergy where the culture rises up to meet the top-down directives of senior leadership where you get true change and true impact. Here's the deal. Each of us can change the world around us. In fact, we already are, regardless of what we're doing. The future is here, sitting in this room and watching online. The future of the lab, of the Air Force, the education system, your company, your community, your church, it's all here. Each of us has a mandate to enable ourselves and our organizations to provide the best future we can. One that keeps the fight unfair. One that uses digital twins and sustainability practices to break through the inertia of the acquisition process. One that brings the rotating detonation rocket engine and conversationally fluent machines to the warfighter quickly and effectively. One that saves the lives of American crewmen and Afghani goats. Whatever your niche is, you have the ability to make the world a better place in a meaningful way. You just have to step up and give yourself and your team the opportunity to fly with complete freedom.